Don't negotiate against yourself. Hi, everybody. Mark Dolfini, landlord coach. I hope you're having an amazing day. So what am I talking about? Not negotiating against yourself. So many times I talk to landlords and self-managing investors that are negotiating against themselves. Right now, for example, we're in the middle of winter and baby, it is cold outside. This one particular guy I was talking to, he's got a vacancy on a property that he was renting for $1,500 a month, and the house is worth it, but it's not worth it right now, and that's the problem. And he's so hell-bent on getting $1,500 a month that he feels any amount less than that is just not worth it for him to rent. Here's the problem. He's not controlling his vacancy expense, and he's looking to negotiate against himself because he just feels that the property is worth it, and to rent it for any less than that is just not worth his time. Well, here's the problem. When you sell time, that's basically what you're doing when you're renting a property. You're not renting a physical property as much as you're selling time. And then once that time is gone, you're never getting that time back. You never get that inventory back. That inventory becomes stale. So just like you can't ever get an unsold room at a hotel, you can never get that inventory back. The same goes with a rental property. And that's when you're negotiating against yourself, because you get so myopic, you get so closed-minded in terms of what it is that property is worth. Well, it's only worth what someone else is willing to pay for it. And let's face it, in the middle of winter, especially when you're close to Christmas, there's just not a lot of people out there looking for places to live, especially in the northern areas where there's snow on the ground. People just don't want to move unless they absolutely have to. So they have pricing power where they have the ability to really make their own deal. And if you're just going to be the most expensive house on the block, you better come with something special. Another way that I see people negotiating against themselves, not only in price, but also in terms. Most people just think that they want a one-year lease. Well, I would not, if this is November, December, January, I would not put anybody into a one-year lease because, again, you're not negotiating from a position of strength once that lease comes due. What am I talking about, negotiating from strength? If that lease comes due and you want to negotiate a price increase at the end of that lease, again, they don't necessarily want to move, but they're not really willing to want to pay more because there's so many other properties at that point in time that they can rent for fairly cheap because you've got other people who are doing annual leases in November, December, and January. That's not negotiating from strength. If your normal leasing season, let's face it, is usually where it's the same across the country, but if your normal leasing season is, say, May, June, and July, then you want the leases to end in that period of time. So that's what you want to do, is you want to adjust your leases to end it during that time. So it may not make sense necessarily if you're in November to end a lease in the following March because you're really only getting like a 5-month lease. But maybe it makes sense for you to do like a 16 or 17-month lease where it brings you through a full year and a little extra to get you into the next leasing season, if that makes sense. Another thing that you can do is also bake in the cake a rent increase. So you'd say, okay, well, for the first 5 months, I'm only going to rent this $1,500 a month property to you. I'm only going to rent it to you for $1,250, but then the rent's going to go to, say, $1,475 or $1,500 or whatever. And then that way they get a good deal for 4 or 5 months. And then when it goes on an annual cycle, they're actually paying closer to the market rent. And that's how you don't negotiate against yourself. Always negotiate from a position of strength. Everybody can win if you get out of your own way, manage your vacancy expense, and make sure you're keeping that property rented. Make sure that you are managing your vacancy expense, and remember the fact that you're selling time, not renting a property. My name is Mark Dolfini, landlord coach. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Share it with others, because if you don't, let's face it, the terrorists win. But also you can follow me on social media and Facebook at My Landlord Coach. Or if you want to get on the mailing list, you can just send me an email at mark@landlordcoach.com, and I will be sure to send you some things on occasion. I don't spam you. I promise you can unsubscribe at any time. Have a great rest of your day. Remember, if you don't place a value on your free time, someone else will. But again, there is no amount of money that will make time irrelevant. Have a great rest of your day.